Inge, and about, I think, again, going more, closing the cycle with nanomedicine. Where are we with more detailed information?
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Is that on? Oh, okay, good. Is that on? So, what I'm going to try... Yeah, they told me that it should be on. It's on. It says on here. Is it on? No? No. Because it's like the light is on and it says on. Okay, I'll just move here. I think it's just easier then. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So is that on? Yes, great. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do in the next couple of minutes is to not state the obvious. I mean, nano was in medicine way before nano was cool. And I think what I'm going to try to discuss with you is how we can actually bring our nanotechnology products to the market and to clinical utility. Okay, so what I'd like to start with is to look at the evolution of medicine, and especially the past couple of years. If we look at the distribution of information in history, it was mostly in the doctor's office, written on a paper in the doctor's hand. However, when Google came up and like all these search engines, the history or the story changed dramatically, because patients can now learn about their disease in a much more easy way. And then there is a next step. Patients can also share information, and we know nowadays things like crowd medicine, where patients seek advice not only with professionals, but they also share information amongst each other. So the knowledge of a patient on a certain disease is nowadays almost comparable to the doctor's information. And if we think about knowledge as a combination of pre-existing knowledge, the available information times the time spent and the access, plus the newly generated information, it's a whole new game. And it's an era where collecting data, sharing data, and interpreting data is going to change everything. So we're really moving from a paternalistic phase to a patient-empowered medicine. Of course, in that context, because patients are now more involved, it also moves to a more individualized treatment. However, we're not quite ready yet. And there are a number of challenges if we want to individualize treatment. Some of the challenges are scientific, but most of them are economic and operational. So the biggest hurdles in individualizing treatment are mostly socioeconomic and not scientific anymore. I'd like to exemplify that by a couple of things. If we try to individualize treatment, decisions are really complex. For example, if we think about BRCA1, it can save about $25,000 per patient identified. But patients are so rare that we cannot screen the whole population, and we need to pre-select patients based on family history. Only then it's cost-effective. So it's very complex decisions that we need to take. The second thing is misaligned incentives. So classically, a treatable patient population is subdivided into segments, and this leads to a shrinkage of the market size for existing drugs. So this is, of course, very difficult to handle. And then the third thing is acceptance. Most of our patient files are still on paper. We face ethical but also data security challenges if we try to digitalize this information, and even more so if we try to share this information. But I think we need to face the fact that we cannot avoid the unavoidable, and we will transition from a one-drug-fits-all to very personalized drugs, and this will lead to a sub-segmentation of the market. So this is rather old data, but I think it still shows the point that many drugs are inefficient in a huge sub-fraction of patient population, especially, how do I go back? Oh, here. Especially in cancer patients. And I think we're now taking the step to prepare for this new phase. And if we look at the preparations that are being made for the day when regulatory bodies demand more proof for the patient outcome in terms of approval, reimbursement, and prices, we can see that there are some activities going on already in oncology and autoimmune diseases, because there the economic potential of companion diagnostics are quite well aligned with the scientific potential of companion diagnostics. It's not necessarily true for other domains. For example, here in this area, the scientific potential of companion diagnostic is huge, but the economic potential is still unclear. So this is the area where mostly diagnostic companies are active. And then we have these areas where there's watchful waiting, so people don't really know whether there's a profitable market for these companion diagnostics. So, summarizing that part, there are severely misaligned incentives, and there are very much conflicting interests between the different stakeholders. So we have the patient on one side, we have the doctors here, we have insurance companies and the hospital. There's profit versus ethics. Can we share the data? Should we run diagnostic tests only to find out that further treatment is unnecessary? These are very difficult and conflicting things, and I think nanotechnology can really ease these challenges. And I think it's a unique opportunity for our community. We can help to create new markets and decrease costs. So nanotechnology, in my opinion, can really influence this whole area. So we can diagnose things better, more accurately. We can detect anatomical differences, phenotypic differences, genetic differences. We can develop companion diagnostics. But then also more than that, we can help in monitoring health activity, treatment. We can study longitudinal progress, and that then helps risk assessment. Even more so, we can help with patient engagement and compliance, because things will become more convenient, and then patient engagement and compliance is higher. And also we can help with accessibility. Things can become more accessible, both societal, but also geographically. We can make things cheaper, portable, more affordable. So the future, and that's a slide or a figure that I took from Lars Steinmetz from Stanford. The future may look like this. So we have a whole range of portable and wearable sensors, edible sensors, implantable sensors that help us to monitor health. But also, these sensors might help us to predict the disease before it's even there. And I think that's really the big thing of the future. However, in order to get there, there are a couple of things that we need to fulfill. The first one, of course, being technical feasibility. But I think we're rather good at that. So we have many, many sensors that are very sensitive and at a very high technological level. But now, I think the big challenge is in trying to develop these things and bring them closer to market and ultimately bring them into a thing that has clinical utility. So we need to bring our sensors to a point where we can translate it into better patient outcomes. And I think compared to drug delivery, this is a unique opportunity for our field, because bringing sensor to clinical application is easier than bringing injectable drugs to clinical application. So there's really a shift in paradigm where we're going to continuously and remotely monitor our health over time, rather than going to the hospital every once in a while. And we can monitor and track a number of different indicators that then help us to identify disease or even this disease risk before it's even there. And this, I think, is really medical advancement. In the interest of time, I'm just going to jump to conclusion. So taken together, I think modern medicine is a very interdisciplinary challenge. There are a number of misaligned incentives, and I think it's a unique opportunity for our community to help to bridge and align the incentives again. So also communication between academia and the development in industry is really key. in order for us to bring our technological things to development, to clinical utility and better patient outcomes. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Inge. Maybe one question, short question or statement. Otherwise, I would like to conclude and to say thank you very much. And I think we have seen many, many aspects in what direction personalized medicine is going, that nanomedicine clearly plays an important role, and we had very concrete examples from Andre on infectious diseases, for example, and even their inherited differences complement component abnormalities, which I think is really a step. Then also to look at the different needs, stakeholders' needs, patients' needs, and not to forget also the interoperability of the different technologies. So nanotechnology together with other technology, so, like nanosensors, or I think these examples of a lab on a chip, these are nice examples. But policymakers can only be as good as the best available evidence they will be provided from the basic sciences. And we heard about hurdles also, regulatory hurdles, etc., but also chances. And I would say from many experience and being myself a doctor, having been a doctor, the biggest hurdle are the doctors, not citizens, not patients, not industry, not policymakers, not economic reasons. This is often stated, but we have proofs already also from France, nice proofs, that it's very, very cost effective. So I think to better understand the hurdles and just to start, we saw that there are so many solutions, brains, approaches, and to bring it together and to get it started. Thank you very much.